Welcome to Political Buzz. I'm Phil Arno. I was out with a friend the other evening, enjoying a few adult beverages, and as sometimes happens when people start solving the problems of the world, the subject of politics came up. Reverting to my on-screen persona, I proceeded to discuss various local elections. A resident of the town of Boston, my friend wasn't too interested in one particular race, the one for mayor of the city of Buffalo. Not being a resident of the city, he basically said he couldn't care less. That is, until I pointed out to him that the city, being the economic center of Western New York, really plays a pretty important role in everybody's life around here in some way or another. For instance, he has two sons. An older son moved to Houston about 10 years ago for career opportunities. His younger son, who recently graduated from college, was just hired for a very good position in the medical corridor area. In the past, that kid too might have been headed to parts unknown for career. I guess the point is, if you live here in Western New York, anywhere in the area, this may be a more important election for our future than anything we've experienced in generations. This particular race for this office, Mayor of Buffalo, has the potential to radically change our policies and direction, for better or for worse, than anything before it. So here, on this Political Buzz, we have the pleasure of welcoming Byron Brown, who has been mayor of Buffalo since 2006 and is running for re-election as a write-in candidate. And in the interest of fairness, I will let everybody know that we have reached out to all those running in this election to offer an opportunity to appear on future programs as well. So welcome to the show, Mr. Mayor. We'll get right into it. My first question for you is going to be, and I'm going to use an analogy here that everybody in Western New York can identify with. You know, the Buffalo Bills were expected to dominate this year. They're expected to come out gangbusters. The first game of the year, they were handed their heads. I mean, they came out flat and beaten by a team that has since done nothing. You know, Pittsburgh has lost 2 games since then. Your primary, you've run the city for, since 2006. Development has grown, the population has gone up for the first time in 70 years. And everybody expected you to kind of have a cakewalk. And you're running against a woman who has no track record, no name recognition for all intent and purposes. And on top of that, she describes herself as a socialist. And you lose. Now, what happened? Explain to me how that happened to Byron Brown.
Well, every election is fortunately 2 phases, a primary and a general election. Yes, we did lose the primary. It was a low turnout election. A small percentage, about 23% of the registered Democratic voters came out in the primary. People are used to voting in September primaries. The primary had been changed to June. A lot of people just didn't come out, and I spent a lot of time focusing on the city's response to the COVID-19 pandemic recovery. I was out working every single day, being very active in helping with personal protective equipment distribution, food distribution, programs to assist renters and landlords and homeowners, and we lost the primary. So you can't go back. We can only go forward, and we feel very good about where we're positioned right now, the level of support that we're getting, and we think the November 2nd general election will be a much different story.
Well, that throws me into the next question, which is, with everything going on, and now we expect a higher turnout for the general election, but she's the official candidate, which gives her an advantage. You're a write-in candidate, which is unprecedented, really, but you're also the incumbent, which throws all kinds of different directions in there. This is, like I say, it's uncharted territory, and there's so many different elements that are out of the blue. I mean, you know, an incumbent who's a write-in against somebody who has no track record and fairly low name recognition up until this point. Where does that all come down? I mean, how do we predict what's going to happen on Election Day?
So there have been a number of public polls, a number of the TV stations showing me winning, showing more people in the community wanting to vote for me than wanting to vote for my opponent. I think that bodes very well. If you look at the polling, my recognition is just about 100% in the community. People know me, know my work, know who I am. Still, a lot of people don't know my opponent, don't know what she's done, and feel that experience is critically important for the future of this community at such a challenging time in our city, in our state, and in our nation. There are examples of people in different parts of the country, different offices that have run as write-in candidates. The senator from Alaska, Lisa Murkowski, won as a write-in candidate. The mayor of Detroit, Michael Duggan, won as a write-in candidate. And even here locally, former Congressman Jack Quinn said in his first race, when he was running for Hamburg Town Council, he won as a write-in candidate, and now it's easier than ever to run as a write-in candidate in the state of New York. So we feel very good about our positioning. We feel very good about the support that we're getting throughout the community.
Okay, all right. Well, in terms of the issues, your opponent has said that, and one of the things she brings up a lot is that the development in the city is basically dominated by big money developers. And she claims that that leaves poor people out of the equation. And how do you respond to that?
I think she's absolutely wrong. Development requires experience. It requires people who know the process, who've taken the time to learn the process. During my time as mayor, we have assisted a number of smaller developers get into that business. There are now minority developers, women developers that did not exist prior to me coming into office as mayor of the city of Buffalo. We're seeing development not just downtown or the waterfront or at the medical campus. We're seeing it on the east side, the west side, the north side, the south side of Buffalo, and that development is lifting people throughout our community. We focus on the concepts of diversity, equity, and inclusion, encouraging our business community to hire in a way that reflects the diversity of our city. And as more and more businesses do that, more and more opportunities are coming online for people living in every single section of the city of Buffalo. During my time as mayor, we've seen over $470 million invested in affordable housing, creating over 2,200 units of affordable housing in different parts of the city, with almost 1,000 new units under construction or proposed that will be coming soon to the community. Well,
we've reached out to her campaign, and hopefully we'll get her in and ask her some of the same questions. Her track record is something that I haven't been able to pin down that much, and again, I'll ask her about her accomplishments. I have found through my research that she has a land trust organization that was awarded by the state in 2019 an $800,000 grant. I'm not quite sure. I think she claims that she's built 2 houses on the east side. Even at that, $800,000 is quite a bit to just have 2 houses. She claims that you have not brought the poor people of the city along with the rest of the development and the progress. I'm not sure we can compare, but how do you kind of address, that's her main, it seems to be her main talking point, is the poor people of the city. And as a self-described socialist, I think that's where she's concentrating, trying to get the poor people. I'm not quite sure I'm going to label it rich versus poor, but that's where her arguments tend to flow. And so I'd like you to kind of address that.
Ms. Walton's ideas are wrong for Buffalo. The information that she's putting out is wrong for our community. It's either misinformed or there is an intentional intent not to be truthful. She was the director of the Fruit Belt Land Trust for at least 2 years. She sold herself as a successful not-for-profit executive. I don't think building 2 houses in 2 years is successful. I think somebody calling themselves successful and only building 2 houses is just not simply being truthful with themselves or the public. And when you really look at the records, when you really dig into it, I don't believe she built those 2 houses. I think those houses were built by Habitat for Humanity. I don't think Habitat wants to wade into this issue and get into politics, but the records are there. And I think the community, I think the media should dig into these records. There is a lot of problems with how she managed the Fruit Belt Land Trust. Now, on the other hand, with my management of the city of Buffalo, we have the most diverse workforce in the history of the city. More people of color, more new Americans, more women than ever before in the history of the city of Buffalo, modeling what we want to see happen in the private sector. We have hired a workforce in city government that reflects the diversity of our community. And we have said to the private sector, diversity, equity, and inclusion, critically important principles. And if you hire a workforce that reflects our city's diversity, then all communities will rise, our city will be stronger, your businesses will be more vibrant, and we will become the envy of the nation. And we're seeing more and more businesses doing that. We're seeing more and more businesses hiring people living in different areas of our city. More work needs to be done on that, but we've made tremendous progress during my time as mayor of the city of Buffalo.
Walton has campaigned in New York City and for backing, for funds. AOC is one of her big fans and backers. Is the party in general, the Democratic Party, going farther and farther to the left? Are we becoming more like New York City? And should people in Buffalo be concerned about becoming closer to New York City politics? Or is that just basically something that they're gravitating to, that the party is becoming more and more like?
Well, you know, the Democratic Party is a very big tent. There are people of different backgrounds, different ideologies in the party. That's a very good thing. I think, though, it's critically important that we don't divide ourselves as a community based on party affiliation, based on income, based on race, based on a variety of different factors. During my time as mayor, I've worked hard to be a uniter, to bring this community together. My opponent, Ms. Walton, has done a lot of things, has said a lot of things that are really divisive, that divide people, that separate people. And I think her campaigning in New York City shows that she is not getting traction and getting support here in Buffalo, where she wants to be mayor. I have nothing against New York City, but I don't think the people of New York City should should try to decide and dictate to the people of Buffalo who should be mayor of this community. Yes, there are some issues that are similar, but we have our own particular specific issues and concerns that need to be addressed. And the folks that live in New York City certainly don't understand all of the circumstances and conditions in this community. And again, to me, it shows Ms. Walton's lack of experience, because instead of spending all of her time talking to the voters here in the city of Buffalo, she spent a lot of time trying to raise money and talk to people in New York City, which I think is the wrong approach.
Well, this goes by very quickly. I think we're going to be out of time now for the first segment. There's tons more to talk about, so stay tuned, because it's a very interesting discussion. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Political Buzz. My guest is Mayor Byron Brown, running for re-election on a write-in ballot, and so we'll get right back into it. Your opponent, India Walton, who locally, outside of New York City, in the AOC, who locally is in her camp? Who is typically an India Walton voter that you know of?
You know, I'm not really focusing on who is in Ms. Walton's camp. I'm focusing on reaching the voters. We're going door to door. I'm knocking on doors. I'm talking to voters at their doors. People have been very kind, very receptive. We're making phone calls. We have an army of volunteers that are calling people at their homes. The phone calls have been going very well. And I'm talking to people about the progress that we've made in the city in terms of cutting the tax rate in the city of Buffalo, making the city a safer place to live, work, and raise a family prior to the pandemic, with crime going down across the board in many different categories, talking about property values going up in the city. In every section of the city, east side, west side, north side, south side, talking about affordable housing that we've built, over 2,200 units of affordable housing, hiring the most diverse workforce in our city's history, the over $8 billion of economic development, creating thousands and thousands of jobs, the training programs that have come online in the city during my tenure. So those are the things that we're talking about. Our campaign is really focused on my accomplishments and what we've been able to do as a community, and the fact that I am running for the future of this community to move Buffalo forward, and we don't want to move Buffalo backwards. We have brought to the attention of the public that Ms. Walton has no relevant experience for this job, that she's unqualified for this position, and some of her positions, you know, wanting to defund police, wanting to cut $7.5 million from the police department budget, are dangerous positions. She wants to raise our taxes by 3%. That would cause every residential property owner, every commercial property owner to pay more taxes for their property in the city of Buffalo, and it would cause rents to go up for renters all across our city. Her ideas are not good, they are not proven, and it is important for the voters to know that.
Well, I'm going to follow up on a couple of things that you just said. But before I do that, I want to ask, you said you knock on doors, you talk to a lot of people. I grew up in Buffalo, and I know the people of Buffalo are not shy.
Well, people are definitely very concerned about public safety. They don't want to see crime go up in their neighborhoods, where they go to shop. where they go to worship. So people are concerned about that. They're concerned about someone talking about cutting police, defunding police. That is a major concern in every section of the city of Buffalo. I've assured the residents of the city of Buffalo that I will not cut our police department. I will not defund our police department, that I will make sure that our police department has the resources to partner with the community, to develop good community police relations so that we can keep our city safe, our families safe, our children safe, our senior citizens safe. People are concerned about infrastructure. They're concerned about roads. They're concerned about sidewalks and curbs. I released a plan months and months ago called the People's Infrastructure Agenda, where the city used 311 call center data from residents, information that has come in from small businesses across the city, to come up with a more than $300 million plan to invest in streets in every section of the city of Buffalo, to replace sidewalks where they need to be replaced, and to replace curbs where they need to be replaced. People are excited about the plan that I've put out to invest in the infrastructure. Unfortunately, we have a president that was able to move the American Rescue Plan through Congress, $331 million coming to the city of Buffalo through that plan. Also now in Washington, they're debating President Biden's American Jobs Plan. If that is passed, and I hope it is, that could mean hundreds of millions of dollars for infrastructure for the city of Buffalo. Roads, bridges, sidewalks, curbs, broadband, to make sure that every home in our community has internet access and is able to use that critically important tool. So we have a plan for our infrastructure, which our community is very concerned about. We have a solid plan for public safety, which our community is very concerned about. I have a plan for rapid upskilling. There are people who are unemployed in the city of Buffalo or underemployed. We will be investing some of the American Recovery Plan dollars in a variety of new training programs, solid training programs to train people in advanced manufacturing, to train people in different computer applications, to train people to become pharmacy techs and other jobs where you can, in 6 months, in a year, in 2 months, you can get the skills to earn living wage, family-sustaining jobs where you are making more than $15 an hour, able to support a family. That is part of my plan that I've been talking about, rapid upskilling of residents of this community to get them into quality employment. And many jobs are coming online in this community. And we know in retirements, there are going to be a lot of jobs that are going to be available. In advanced manufacturing, for example, thousands and thousands of jobs are going to become open and available in Buffalo and Erie County alone.
One of the things that we touched on earlier, and I want to follow up on, is, Buffalo is a big city, and there's 2,500 people on the payroll. The payroll being about $530-some million. There's some complications, and in a way, you're like a chief executive of a big corporation, but it's a little more complicated than that because you can't make decisions like an officer of a company. You have a city council that you have to cooperate with. There are a lot of complications to running a city like this. And we're running out of time, but as a four-term mayor, you've learned a lot in running this city. I'm sure your first term was quite a learning experience. Explain a little bit, we have maybe 2 minutes left, explain a little bit about that that process of learning the ins and outs of running that kind of an operation?
Well, running a city, an American mid-sized city, is very complicated. So there are contracts, there's state law, there's federal law, there are grant processes that you have to understand and have people prepared to work on. There are contract negotiations that you have to engage in. There is work with county government, state government, federal government. Before I approached this job, before I got into this job, I worked as a staff member in city, county, and state governments at significantly high levels. So I had a level of training in local government and state government before I ever ran for any office. Then I was a city council member for 3 terms, learning the operation of the city of Buffalo, understanding the budget. I was the chair of the council finance committee, the economic development committee, community development. So understanding those elements of how the city operated. I was a state senator for 3 terms, working in the state government, understanding the state government budgetary process, having a relationship with governors and state legislators to be able to hit the ground running when I was mayor of the city of Buffalo, understanding the operation of city government and understanding the operation of state government. Going in with 0 management experience, with 0 government knowledge is not a formula for success. Ms. Walton's lack of experience, lack of qualifications for this job is a recipe for disaster for the city of Buffalo.
Well, fair enough. We're just about out of time for this Political Buzz. I want to thank Mayor Byron Brown for being my guest. I think it's been informative, and we'll, hopefully have you back again.
I'd love to come back.
Before the election takes place, and we'll see where this goes. It's a very interesting discussion, and we'll see if India Walton accepts our invitation to come on and talk about her agenda. But I want to thank you for watching Political Buzz. Thanks, as always, for watching WBBZ-TV. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time on Political Buzz.